Welcome back to PhiloByts. We've explored Socrates, the questioner, and Plato, the visionary. Today we meet the systematizer, the thinker who took the grand questions of philosophy and gave them rigorous, methodical answers. Today we talk about Aristotle. Who was Aristotle? Aristotle was born in 384 BC in Stagira, a small city in northern Greece. His father was a physician to the king of Macedon, a detail that matters because Aristotle inherited a fascination with biology, anatomy, and the natural world that would define his approach to knowledge. At 17, he was sent to Athens to study at Plato's academy. He stayed for 20 years, first as a student, then as a researcher and teacher. He was, by all accounts, Plato's most brilliant student, and yet he disagreed with his master on almost everything that mattered most. After Plato's death, Aristotle left Athens. He spent time on the island of Lesbos studying marine biology, examining sea creatures with the hands-on curiosity of a naturalist. He was then summoned to the court of King Philip II of Macedon to tutor the king's son, a boy named Alexander, who would later be called the Great. Eventually, Aristotle returned to Athens and founded his own school, the Lyceum. He taught while walking, hence his followers were called the Peripatetics, from the Greek word for walking around. He wrote on an astonishing range of subjects: logic, metaphysics, ethics, politics, rhetoric, poetry, biology, psychology, physics, astronomy. He essentially invented several of these disciplines. To understand Aristotle, you first have to understand where he broke from Plato. Plato believed that true reality exists in a separate, eternal realm of forms, perfect archetypes of which physical things are mere shadows. Aristotle thought this was a beautiful idea, tendirkonia, and completely wrong. Plato is dear to me, Aristotle reportedly said, but truth is dearer still. For Aristotle, the forms do not exist in some separate realm. The essence of a thing is right here in the thing itself. A horse is not a shadow of the form of horse. A horse is a real particular thing, and its essence, horseness, exists within it. To understand reality, you don't escape the physical world. You study it, you observe, you classify, you reason from what you can see. This shift from Plato's idealism to Aristotle's empiricism is one of the great turning points in intellectual history. One of Aristotle's greatest contributions is the invention of formal logic. He was the first to systematically analyze the structure of valid arguments, to figure out when reasoning is reliable and when it goes wrong. His tool was the syllogism. A syllogism is a form of reasoning in which a conclusion follows necessarily from two premises. Here is the classic example. All men are mortal. Socrates is a man. Therefore, Socrates is mortal. This seems obvious. But the power of Aristotle's insight is that the form of the argument guarantees the truth of the conclusion, provided the premises are true. For the first time in history, someone had created a science of reasoning itself, a set of rules that, if followed, make it impossible to go logically wrong. Aristotle's logic dominated Western thought for over 2,000 years. Even today, the foundations of modern logic and of computer science, which relies on formal logical system, trace back to Aristotle. In his Metaphysics, Aristotle asked the most fundamental question possible: what is being? What does it mean for something to exist? His answer involves a crucial distinction between form and matter. Every physical thing, Aristotle argued, is composed of both matter, the stuff it's made of, and form, the organizing principle that makes it what it is. A bronze statue has matter, bronze, and form, the shape of a person. Change the matter and keep the form. Make the same statue in marble, and you still have the same form. Change the form while keeping the matter. Melt the bronze and make a coin, and the form is gone. This concept of hylomorphism, from the Greek words for matter and form, remains influential in philosophy, theology, and even cognitive science. It gave us a way to think about identity, change, and what makes a thing what it is. Aristotle also introduced the concept of the four causes: the material cause, what something is made of; the formal cause, its structure or pattern; the efficient cause, what brought it into being; and the final cause, its purpose or goal. For Aristotle, understanding a thing fully meant understanding all four. The final cause, the telos, is especially important. Aristotle believed that everything in nature has a purpose, a goal toward which it naturally tends. An acorn's telos is to become an oak tree, A child's telos is to become a flourishing adult. This teleological view of nature profoundly shaped science, theology, and ethics for centuries. Aristotle's ethics are laid out in the Nicomachean Ethics, named after his son Nicomachus, and they represent one of the most sophisticated moral frameworks in history. The central concept is eudaimonia, often translated as happiness, but better rendered as flourishing or living well. Aristotle argues that every human action aims at some good, and there must be some ultimate good, something we pursue for its own sake, not as a means to something else. That ultimate good is eudaimonia. What is eudaimonia? It is not pleasure. Aristotle notes that animals seek pleasure, but humans are capable of something higher. It is not wealth, which is merely a means to other things. It is not honor, which depends on others' opinions. Eudaimonia is the activity of the soul in accordance with virtue, the exercise of our distinctively human capacities in an excellent way. Virtue, for Aristotle, is a disposition to act, feel, and think in a certain way. Crucially, virtue is a mean between two extremes. Courage is the mean between cowardice and recklessness. Generosity is the mean between miserliness and extravagance. Honesty is the mean between deception and brutal tactlessness. This doctrine of the golden mean is one of Aristotle's most enduring ideas, and virtues are not innate, they are habits. We become courageous by doing courageous things. We become generous by practicing generosity. Character is formed by repeated action. This is why education and community matter so much to Aristotle. You cannot flourish in isolation. In his Politics, Aristotle makes a claim that would become famous. Man is by nature a political animal. He means that human beings are naturally suited to live in communities, not just families or villages, but fully organized political societies with laws, institutions, and shared values. Aristotle analyzed 158 different constitutions in the ancient world and developed a typology of governments. There are three good forms: monarchy, ruled by one for the common good; aristocracy, ruled by the few for the common good; and polity, ruled by the many for the common good. Each has a corrupt version. Tyranny, oligarchy, and democracy rule for the benefit of the rulers alone. He saw a constitutional republic, a mixed government combining elements of oligarchy and democracy, as the most stable and just form for most societies. Aristotle's influence on the history of thought is almost impossible to overstate. In the Middle Ages, he was simply called the philosopher, as if there were no other. His logical works formed the backbone of medieval education. His natural philosophy defined science until the scientific revolution of the 17th century. His ethics continues to inspire the contemporary movement of virtue ethics. Thomas Aquinas synthesized Aristotelian philosophy with Christian theology. Islamic scholars like Ibn Rushd and Ibn Sina preserved and extended his works. Charles Darwin's theory of natural selection echoes Aristotle's meticulous study of animal life. Modern notions of natural law, constitutionalism, and civic virtue all carry Aristotelian fingerprints. Aristotle teaches us that the world is not a shadow of something else. It is the thing itself, rich and complex and worthy of study. He teaches us that character is built through practice, that flourishing requires community, and that wisdom lies in finding the mean between extremes. In a world that often values extremes and shortcuts, Aristotle's patient, systematic, earth-grounded wisdom is a powerful counterweight. Thank you for watching. Next week we meet Epicurus, a man who has been profoundly misunderstood and who might have something very important to say to us today.